That music means only one thing. Ow, I just got shocked. That's Stephen Moore.
So, Amy, I'm Bruce Wolf.
It's in his us.
So,
oh, hi, Bruce.
Dan and I did this show on another frequency for a few years.
heard.
Every single week we had Stephen Moore on. I didn't know that he was going to become like the economic czar of the United States of America. I would have given him some respect.
You always respect Stephen Moore.
Stephen Moore is Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for the Heritage Foundation, economic advisor to Donald Trump. I mean, he talks to Trump all the time. I think he writes his tweets for him.
They
Am I
went
right
to
about
the
that, Stephen?
Oklahoma game together.
Stephen, top of the morning.
Hi, good morning, guys. Great to be with you. Merry Christmas, by the way. I'm also coming to Chicago tomorrow. Please tell me it's not going to be 10 degrees below zero.
No, it's going to be a balmy 34 degrees.
No, it's going to be
all
great.
right. I can handle that. Well, anyway, these are exciting times. I think, you look at what's happened with the consumer confidence numbers. You look at the stock market, my goodness, I think in a couple hours we'll be above Dow 20,000, which is incredible. That means we'll have gained 10% on the Dow, 2,000 points since the election, which is an amazing accomplishment. It shows people are so bullish about this incoming administration with the tax cuts and the energy policy and the rollback of Obamacare and just about every other thing that Obama has done. I think we're looking at an extremely prosperous 2017.
All right, well, Stephen, let me back up a little bit because I haven't had a chance to talk to you in a while.
Getting ahead of myself. Huh?
Here we go. Yeah, all right. So you had the carrier deal, which is an illustration of what Frederick Bastiat would have called concentrated benefits with dispersed costs. It's crony capitalism. And then you got trade deals and tariffs that might violate Ricardo's theory of comparative advantage. And you got tax cuts that are going to blow out the debt. But maybe they're going to help as well, especially if the corporate tax gets down to 15%. And deregulation is going to help. I think what we elected in Donald Trump was both a Republican and a Democrat, and I'm willing to settle for half a loaf. How about you?
Well, Bruce, I want to congratulate you. I think you're the first radio talk show host I've ever talked to in 25 years who invoked the name of Ricardo. Very good. I'm impressed.
Usually it's Ricky Ricardo.
Okay. Well done.
You've got a lot of explaining to do, Stephen.
All over the city of Chicago are Googling Ricardo, saying, who the hell is that? But anyway, you're right to be concerned about those things. I mean, by the way, I thought the carrier deal was fine. He was sending a message to voters that he's got their back, that he really does care about, saving factory jobs in places like Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. And I've said all along that Donald Trump, will be judged in large part, in terms of the success or failure of his presidency by how well he does in terms of restoring these areas of the country that have been so economically depressed and never saw recovery. And it's the areas that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton completely ignored. Mm-hmm. But look, I think he was just saying, I'm gonna be your voice in Washington. I'm gonna make sure that we bring factories and jobs back to these places. And by the way, I think that can happen. I mean, some people say, manufacturing and factory jobs and so on. I'm never going to come back to the United States. I don't believe that. I think we can do it. I think we can do it very efficiently, effectively. And I would make the case to you that we have to steer away from tariffs. Okay, we don't want tariffs. What we do want is we want a good trade and regulatory policy that will encourage, use the carrot of good tax and regulatory policy, not the stick of, the Billy Club of government to try to intimidate companies. If we do that, I think that Trump will be successful.
Well, a lot of manufacturing jobs went the way of robots, so people were replaced with machines. So you'd promise, or Donald Trump had mentioned that 25 million jobs would be created when he becomes president. Mm-hmm. Where are we starting with that? Where are we going with that number?
It's so interesting you mentioned about that. I mean, I remember when I was like 10, 11 years old, back in around 1971, my parents, because as you know, Amy, I grew up in Chicago. We drove to Detroit, and we went to some of the the Ford factories and I remember what's the Kellogg factory and so on. Where they're making,
I love those stamping plants.
Yeah, and I remember at the time thinking, oh my God, the conditions were pretty bad in those plants. I mean, they were hot and grimy, and people were doing heavy lifting, and those were tough jobs. Those were tough factory jobs. I had nothing but admiration for those workers. But you go. I just was visited Ford a couple of weeks ago for a story I was working on, and I couldn't believe the difference between what a factory looked like, 25, 30 years ago versus today. You're right. Really? There's a lot fewer workers doing a lot more output now, and most of the people are, instead of having blue collar shirts on, they were at white laboratories coats and they were doing diagnostics on all the equipment. But those are high-paying jobs. You know that? I mean, those people are making $40, $50 an hour to do that kind of work. And I think we can bring back the coal industry in this country. I think we can bring back light manufacturing. I think we can bring back steel. You know, the Youngstown, Ohio, places like that. The steel mills have been closed in part because, Obama wouldn't build the Keystone Pipeline. Because guess what? Those pipelines are made out of steel, and they should be made out of American steel. And by the way, we are going to build the Keystone Pipeline.
Yeah.
Right away.
Stephen, I wanted you to take off your economist hat and put on your sociologist one, because I know you can do it. You minored in that. Did you?
I did. University of Illinois.
There you go. So even if you make the jobs available to the working class, much of the working class won't be able to take advantage of it. You know, immigrants, and we malign them, quite a bit, but a lot of them, a substantial number of them, work pretty hard. Whereas the white working class right now, I don't want to stereotype too much, but you got the opioids, you got welfare dependency, bad work ethic. I think we're in a situation where we could have the shovel-ready jobs, but when we have shoveler-ready jobs, seriously,
workers,
yeah, exactly.
Well, First of all, you're exactly right on the value of hardworking immigrants in this country. I mean, they are fantastic. Immigrants, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are incredibly hardworking and incredibly industrious and ambitious and want to make a better life for themselves. And that's the kind of people we want in this country. We don't want people to come in illegally. I don't think Donald Trump is anti-immigrant. He's just anti-illegal immigrant. If you got to play by the rules. You've got to follow the laws. And you're right. We're going to need, if we're going to create 25 million workers, we're going to need, 25 million jobs. We're going to need workers to come into this country to do some of that work. And you combine the combination of great American workers with some of the best and brightest from the rest of the world. It's what makes America a great place, and it's why we're going to beat the pants off China and Russia and all these other countries that we compete with.
All right, Stephen, saw a special report last night. They're using you because you're ubiquitous. I mean, you're all over the place right now, and and you should be. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're the
big
economic advisor to Donald Trump.
Negative.
Look, no, it's great, but you were hoping that we'd have the business tax cut possibly first to help small businesses. We got like 26.5 million small businesses. We'll create maybe 900,000 new jobs, but then you're talking about $2 trillion in debt over a decade, and the old phrase, rob Peter to pay Paul. This sounds like robbing Peter's children to pay for Peter. Okay.
Okay, first of all, cheer up a little bit.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Good times are coming. But I will say this. I think we are going to get this tax cut done, and we're going to create a hell of a lot of jobs. And, so when you create jobs in the United States, guess what? Now you have people who are paying taxes. Now you've got businesses that are making money and paying taxes. You take people off of welfare. So I've always said the best way to reduce the budget deficit, get people in jobs, get people paying taxes, not taxes, not collecting government benefits. We learned under Reagan how fast the economy can grow when you get it right. Under Reagan we had quarters 5, 6, 7, 8% growth. I think we can do that again. I really do. I think we can see a big burst of prosperity, put people back to jobs. That's going to reduce debt. It's going to be a great year in 2017. If Trump does what he says he's going to do, and our job as conservatives is to keep his feet to the fire, so he doesn't flinch. He goes forward. The big question is whether Democrats in Congress are going to be at all cooperative. Nancy Pelosi. Can you believe that Nancy Pelosi was reappointed as the Democrat minority leader? I mean, can you imagine any worse face for the Democratic Party than Nancy Pelosi?
Keith Ellison? I don't know.
Yeah.
For Republicans,
she killed her challenger.
It just keeps giving.
Yep. All right. Well, Stephen Moore, thank you so much for always making us taking time to.
Hey, guys, I hope you have a Merry Christmas. Keep it warm when I get there. And I've really enjoyed being on with you guys the last year. And hopefully, I told them, whatever job I take in the administration, if I take one, I got to do the Dan and Amy show
Thank you.
Wonderful.
And you know what, Stephen Moore, one thing you and I have in common, besides our devastatingly good looks, you got a work permit.
Stop right there.
No, you got a work permit when you were 15 to.
Yep.
So did I, and I got a work permit. I'll never forget because I got a work permit I worked at Diamond Dave's in Randhurst Mall.
And that's why we're both successful. We started working early, young.
But I did it to buy Christmas gifts. Yep, I did it to buy Christmas gifts for my family, and then I gave my 2 weeks notice.
Mr. and Mrs. Horatio Alger. I just love you people. Why did you
get a work permit, Stephen Moore? What was the motivation behind yours?
I wanted money. and I didn't want to depend on my parents. I wanted money so I could spend. There's nothing wrong with getting rich in this country. That's the American dream, is making a better life for yourself, and you can't do that if you don't work and invest. If you're young, work and then take the money you earn and put it in the stock market, and in 50 years you'll be a millionaire.
All right, thanks
now
so
you
much.
tell me.
Yeah, sorry, too late for you,
Not
Bruce.
that complicated. All right, guys.
All right, thanks, Stephen Moore.
You too.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to